Fiddle again, folks. Welcome back to the Brewtime podcast. In a sec, we're going to be having a chat with Michael, the Gorilla Biker. He's a YouTube motovlogger, does a lot of rebuild type stuff, plus general motovlogging, bike reviews, kit reviews, that kind of thing. Great lad, typical brilliant Irish crack. You're going to enjoy this one. But first, a quick shout out for our sponsors. As usual, we're sponsored by Inov. Now, Inov do motorcycle dash cams. They've got single systems like the C5. I've got a video on that one from a few years ago. And they also do dual camera systems, the K series. K5 is a 4K camera at the front, 1080 at the rear. The K3 is 1080 all round. Both the K3 and K5 have got external remotes. They've got Wi-Fi, so you can integrate them with an app. They have GPS trackers, awesome bits of kit, folk, totally fit and forget. As soon as you switch the engine on, they start recording and you're totally covered. I know from past experience, sadly, if you're involved in an accident, first thing that's asked is, do you have CCTV? And if you have one of these fitted, you can turn around and say yes. Head to innovv.co.uk/TP1 for some more information. When you deal with them, don't forget to tell them Teapot sent you. We're also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Now, I've got a bit of blurb to read out here. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles. With a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products to keep your devices safe, secure and easily accessible, the Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within reach to take photos of your travels at the same time. Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. Now, folks, I use the case for my phone. I've got the iPhone 11 Pro. They do all different types of phones, plus a generic sort of case for them. Once you've got the actual case for your specific phone, you also have to get some sort of mounting solution. Now, the only one I can vouch for is the one I use all the time. That's the Helix strap mount. You'll find that in the pedal cycle section, but for me it's the best one for the motorbike as well. There's loads of give in it. It's not a rigid sort of mounting solution. I've had zero issues with the camera when I use this. That is the one I recommend. Head to ultimateaddons.com and don't forget to use code TeapotOne with the number 10, TeapotOne10 for 10% off. We are also sponsored by the Influencer Store. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop them an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information, and don't forget to tell them Teapot sent you. Folks, if you head to my store for any of the merch at TeapotOne.com, all of the merch there is handled by the Influencer Store. I went with them because they're British, because they do really good quality stuff, and the customer care is spot on. I used to use Spreadshirt, Teespring, all these sorts of places, but to be honest with you, the quality of items was rubbish. Head to the Influencer Store. Lastly, a massive shout out to all of you folks who've been listening to the podcast, sharing it, telling everyone about it, watching the vids over on the YouTube channel. A huge thank you to you. That is a massive support to me here. I couldn't be doing this without you. And those of you over in the clan who've gone that extra mile on Patreon, literally, I could not do this without all of your support. So a huge thanks from me. Okay then, folks, appreciate you listening to the sponsor shout-outs there. Let's crack on with this week's episode, The Gorilla Biker. Right, folks, welcome back to this week's Brew Time, and this week we've got Michael, the Gorilla Biker. How you doing, bud?
Hello. Good, yeah. How are you?
Oh, grand. Very good, thank you, very good. Dude, I think, I know you've listened to a couple of these before, so you know the crack. Well, first off, what's your tipple? What's your tipple of choice?
Guinness today. I'm actually nearly out of everything in the house.
Fancy that, an Irishman drinking a Guinness. I have got
my lovely wife, Mrs. Teapot, bought me the best advent calendar in the world.
Oh, no
it's
way.
a Brewdog. She bought me a Brewdog advent calendar, and this is Lost in Mango.
Nice. Very nice. Is it? Well, we'll find out. Is it good? I suppose.
We'll find out in a second. So here's to your health, pal. Slange.
Cheers. Or sláinte. I do think it's interesting the way so many words in Scottish and Irish are quite similar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's Irish Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic, and then everything else in between, isn't there?
Yeah.
That is an interesting taste.
Good, interesting.
I like it. I think it's a good. Yeah, I think it's good. There's a definite mango sort of aftertaste to it. I think I'll have to have another little sip. Hang on. It's the smell. The smell smells like an off fart, but when you drink it, it's actually quite an off fart. What does a good smelling fart smell like? I don't know.
Well, I could go into detail, but we won't.
Depends who's farted, I suppose.
It's too early in the podcast. We won't go into that.
We're going to find out a lot about you in this one, I think. Dude, right. Before we crack on with questions, can I throw the floor open to you like I normally do? What's your name? Where'd you come from? What you do? Just introduce yourself and we'll go from there. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Michael. I'm from Kilkenny, which is also currently where I live again. I've kind of lived in a few places all over Ireland. Never any other country yet, though. And I am, I suppose, I would like to say primarily a motorbike human person, but really I'm primarily a mechanical engineer, sadly working for... what would you call them? Corporations. If my boss is listening to this, please don't fire me for saying that. But also, I suppose then I just make videos on YouTube of bikes and about bikes and with bike people and doing stuff on bikes and etc. The key feature being bikes.
Bikes are pretty much involved in it. I was watching your, it was one of the suspension ones. It's quite a recent vid. Is it Sean? Is that right? Was it Sean or Dean?
Oh, Dean. Yeah, Dean from Motomax Suspension. Yeah.
Yeah, you were doing some refurbishment of the forks. That was funny, man. That was I enjoyed that.
You probably know what this is like. Generally, when I'm editing videos, it's just me. So you're editing and you're like, I know the story I want to tell. I just want to kind of get it done because I'm sick of listening to myself. That was actually one that was really fun to edit because that was like well over an hour and most of it was just back and forth abuse. So seeing I don't want to cut that out because it's funny. But, so that was actually enjoyable to edit, which was nice.
It's hard, isn't it, when you edit? When I've said this before on here that when you're editing, you know what you felt like and what went on at that time when you filmed it, and you want to try and convey as much of that as possible, and it's really hard to cut sufficient out that the piece still has momentum and it keeps people engaged, but it also tells the real story, and that's definitely something I still struggle with now. Like
I think it's impossible not to.
It's like you look at people like Casey Neistat. He's a prime example for me. Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, mostly Casey, I would say, because his much shorter. His vids tend to be well under 10 minutes.
Yep.
And I always look and think, how the hell have you told that story as conclusively as he does, but in like 6 minutes, 7 minutes?
I think it's something that if you have an interest in making videos and you've seen his videos, that exact same thought has come into my head, because when you watch his videos, and apologies for anyone who's never seen his videos, but if you watch his videos, you're like, I don't know, I come away from them like, right, that felt so much longer, but it never felt uninteresting. Just like you said, it's just so dense with storytelling pieces. It's like, wow, how'd you do that? Yeah. Whereas I spend about 5 minutes to say hello. So
I'm the same. Yeah. And I've definitely noticed, particularly doing this podcast and going back, and I don't really edit the podcast, but I have to listen to it all just to make sure, Yeah. And I'm well aware that I have verbal diarrhea, way more than I ever thought I did before. And it's like, shit, I need to, rather than use 23 words, use 2.
No, I was the same when I started making the videos. I realized, like, Christ, I say much. Like when I started doing it, I was like, okay, I have to make 2,500 cuts in this first 5 minutes, and it's all me just going like, So I think I've actually removed that from my general life as well because of it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, makes you think a little bit more about what you're saying rather than just blapping it out, doesn't it? So how long have you been making vids then? How long have you been doing this?
It's actually when I can't remember the date exactly. They were written down somewhere because I just like wrote it down for myself. But it's in January. It'll be 3 years. So it was funny because someone one of my friends said to me recently. He was like, how long have you been making videos? And I said, it's 3 years next year. And he said, and you're 30 next year, right? And I said, yeah, I'm 30 next year. And he said, so you've been making videos for more than 10% of your life. And I was like, whoa.
It's great having mates like that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It just like takes you back and like, whoa, that's quite a long time actually.
And where are you at just now? What sort of subs are you? I mean, subs aren't everything. I appreciate that. What's your channel at the moment?
I just crossed 5,000 subscribers, which was I'll be honest, right? I don't know. Like obviously, people who do watch my channel that will probably know. Like I just most of my videos are me just going out talking about something that literally piqued my interest, and I never ever ever thought in a billion years I would hit 1,000, let alone 5,000, and that's come about like insanely quick. I had like a thought at the start of the year in my head, when you're like, I can't remember what it was at the start of the year, but it wasn't. I don't even know, was it 3,000? And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if I got to 5,000 before Christmas? And I crossed that a few. I was like, whoa. So like the stretch goal was 5,000 and I got there. So it's a bit mad.
I don't think anyone that's not involved with YouTube, I don't think people realize how tough it is to get that first 1,000. I mean, it literally feels like a never-ending slog to get the first 1,000, doesn't it? I think I was about 7 years, and then I wasn't posting all the time, but I did. I'll mention it. I did the trip. I still only had 600 odd subs at the end of that, and it took till 2016.
You know the way you get stick for mentioning that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. If that was every time you say it, I'm like, yeah, you're dead right. You did ride around the world in a Gixxer 1,000. And whenever I mention like he rode around the world in a Gixxer 1,000 people in there, I was like, whoa, he's clearly insane, but fair play.
Do you know why I get stick for it? It's because I make a big deal about it. No one's ever said to me, "Oh God, you talk about that a lot." I just don't want to be the one that goes, "Oh, and another time at Bandcamp." So I sort of play on it like the off-road thing. I don't mind off-roading. I'm just shit at it, but I always make a big deal about it, and I make a big deal about the trip. And obviously, people jump on it, don't they? And it's become a thing now.
Yeah,
it's my own fault. Folks. It's an absolute travesty. If you enjoy my vids, you're going to love Michael's. So please head to the Gorilla Biker and give the lad a little subscription, follow, like. You're
setting people up for mad disappointment.
Ding dong the old bell. He's a big chap
much.
like me. He's Celtic with a good crack, probably better than mine, I'd suggest. And he actually knows what he's doing with the spanners as well and can ride a bike. Follow the guy. More than I do, mate, I tell you that. I know which way the front of the bike is because that's the bit that tends to take me into dangerous things.
Sure, that's all of us.
Right. Shall we crack on with questions? Because I'm well aware that any questions I'll have, people have probably asked them already anyway. So
absolutely,
see how it. I'm
really interested to see what people asked. Actually,
you might regret that.
I know there's one question I answered. I responded to the guy who asked it on Instagram. The only reason I did that was because I saw it and I was like, I do remember that. It popped up on my notifications. I was like, I hope Bruce doesn't think that guy's being really rude. So I was like, I'm just going to reply so he knows that I know there's a joke there and it's fine.
No worries. Instagram's about the only ones where I actually ever get a pre-read of the questions because, as you said, it notifies you all the time.
Notifies,
doesn't it? Yeah. But Patreon and stuff, I tend, and Facebook, I don't often pre-read anything. So first off, we'll go to Patreon, patreon.com/TeapotOne to the clan. First question. Well, the first question was from a new clan member, Simon Orm, who asked where he left the questions. And Simon, I can't find where you've left the question, mate. So I don't know if you did. Apologies if you did, but it's not here in the comments. So first one, Mark Fulcher. Oh God, let's see what he asks. Help me, ducks. So a couple of questions for you both tonight, just for shits and giggles. What's your best Englishman, Irishman, Scotsman joke? Oh no, I'm crap at this.
I actually have one.
Go on, let's see it.
There's only one I ever use, because a lot of those jokes generally make Irish people out to be idiots. So I just can't retell them, because you're like, it's a bit awkward. But there's one that's beautiful, and I'm going to apologize, because this is going to make probably some people like go shake their fist at me. So an Irishman, a Welshman, an Englishman, and a Scotsman are on a plane, and the captain says, "Plane's too heavy, someone needs to get off." So brave Scotsman says, "For the glory of Scotland," jumps off the plane. Captain says, "No, plane's still too heavy." Brave Welshman says, "For the glory of Wales," jumps off the plane. "No, still too heavy." Irishman says, "For the glory of Ireland," and throws the Englishman off the plane. It's the only one I know.
It's the only one you need. Awesome. Brilliant.
I can't believe someone asked that. That's brilliant.
It's about Englishman, Irishman, Scottish, Welsh. Those jokes, they're about the only racist jokes you're allowed these days, isn't it? If you take the piss out of English, Irish, Scottish or Welsh, perfectly fine. I get called sweaty. I get called every name under the sun, but it's fine because I'm Scottish. It's fine.
There's another good one I know about Scotsmen, actually. It's how copper wire was invented.
Go on.
Two Scotsmen fighting over a penny. I apologise.
Right, folks, that was my call. See you later. Cheers now.
Hey, good luck.
Mark, I genuinely, mate, I cannot think of a joke at the moment. I'll try and rack my brains as we're talking, and
he has loads. He just doesn't want to say them.
None that'll beat that. Mark also says, "I'm just away on holiday down in Cornwall, and I'm pleasantly surprised at how courteous the drivers are. Generous waves and thumbs up, etc., down the tight country lanes. Is this really that much of a lost art? I know around my way we're still very much nodders, but do we need to campaign to bring back the nod?" Yes.
I'm nodding. Yes, we do. Yeah, 100%.
There definitely is not as much nodding as there used to be, I think.
It's a funny one, because obviously I travel a good distance up and down to work every day, most of the time on the bike, a good 90% of the time. And it's something that's funny. Every single day I meet a guy who goes past me on an R6, and every single day the two of us will be like, "How are you getting on?" There's one guy, and it's funny because I'm pretty certain he actually watches my channel, and I'm pretty certain he comments quite a bit, because I do recognize his helmet from his profile picture, and there's not that many people who own a brand new Triumph Rocket 3 in Ireland.
Right.
And I mean, I've literally went so far as to nearly put my two legs, two hands out and give him a full, hey, wave. Not a blink from him. And there's two guys on, and I apologize in advance, GSs. And I mean, they won't even acknowledge that you're looking at them. They're just dead straight ahead. And
yeah,
I'm off to do my business. Just nod. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never got the snobbery on bikes, like sports bikes only wave to sports bikes, GS wankers only wave to GS, Harleys wave to nobody unless they're Harleys. I've never got any of that. And I definitely noticed going from the Jigsaw onto a GS how little people actually will nod or wave back. And I like you, I'm like nodding all the time at people. You really have to make an effort, don't you? And I think people are doing it. But down in the southeast, I don't think it's anywhere near as prevalent. Certainly once you head north, it's still alive and well up there for sure. But down here, nah.
I would agree. When we were in Scotland recently, we got mostly, I would say 80-90% of nods and waves were replied to. So I'd agree with the northern parts where now I've never ridden in the southern parts, so it's completely skewed, but up there definitely.
I do think traffic has probably got a factor on that, and as in there's so much traffic down here, people are just like focused on the road a lot of the people tend to look as far as the front wheel a lot of the time when there's a lot of traffic round about, and I think people's vision maybe isn't up and looking at everything else round about. They're just looking at what's going to kill them next down here.
Well, that's fair enough too. Like, I mean, I suppose you think about it, a lot of people might not ride all of the time. Maybe they're just commuters. So like that, maybe they are super focused on, I don't want to die here today, so I'm just going to look in that little narrow alley of vision, which is, I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Maybe there's a vid in this. Bring back the nod. Maybe we should start a campaign.
I agree. I do. Maybe people don't know. And you know, all those little symbols like tap the helmet for policia and all that stuff. So it's there's a lot of people don't know that, because there was a guy actually once I went past him, and I mean there was I don't know, do you have them? We've customs cops here, and they're like, I don't know, someone in there who trains everyone. Actually, when they got recruited, I think they told them they actually have the power of
God,
Poseidon himself, because I mean they're just so rude all of the time. But there was them customs cop checking for, to actually check for English registered cars that haven't been VRT'd yet, because God help the government losing a few €100. And there was a normal cop with the speed gun out, so I tapped the helmet, and your man like threw up his hand, and I tapped it again. He threw up his hand like this, and he actually turned and followed me down the road. So I pulled it. He was like, what were you doing? I was like, oh, it's this guard's down the road. And he had the clue. Now he was younger than me, so fair enough. And I think you need to know, like, who tells you these things, I suppose. You know what I mean? Where do you learn them if you don't have a group of older bikers who you know?
Michael, there's a vid here, biker etiquette. You heard it here first. Michael and I are going to do one of us will do a vid on this. If anyone else does one before we do, you've copied us.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely ideas. A vid, isn't it? Biker etiquette. It's definitely a vid. 100%.
It'd be very interesting to see, actually, do you cover everything I'd cover, or vice versa? Because I wonder what's missing between our collective knowledge.
Good point. Tell you what, folks, if you're listening to not if you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching the podcast vid now, leave something in the comments about like what is a sort of hand signal that you know of. Like, how do you say hello? Do you nod? Do you wave? Do you stick your boot out? How do you warn about Old Bill? How do you warn about hazards? All that sort of stuff. Let us know in the comments, and we could do some sort of vid on it.
Yep, absolutely. I'm
coming to Ireland. We could do it when I come to Ireland.
When you come to Ireland?
Next year, definitely. I'm coming. I've been meaning to do it for the last couple of years, and something beginning with C has got in the way. So next year, bugger it, I'm coming. Even if I've got to swim and drag my bike, I'm coming. See you there.
Route yourself through Northern Ireland. It's that's how I got to Scotland. No one checks anything.
All received. Liking that. Right. Yeah. All received. Right. Last one from Fulch. He says, lastly, best pint of Guinness in Ireland.
Oh.
He says his is the Hideaway in Loch Gowna.
Loch Gowna. That's Longford, I think. So I must go up there. I've never been. I don't know the Hideaway, but I must go up there. Best pint. That's a tough question. I've had many pints of Guinness in many places. Where's the best? I'm going to keep it local, and I'm going to say Clear's Pub in Kilkenny. They do a fantastic pint of Guinness, and I'm actually going in there on the 23rd for my Christmas pints with my friends. So, yeah, Clear's Pub in Kilkenny. And if you like live music, they obviously, when that thing that we were talking about there that we won't talk about is around, they usually you'll have trad sessions and stuff like that in the corner or something. Awesome. So it's a great little pub.
I love that over in Ireland in particular. You still get it in parts of Scotland, but nowhere near as prevalent as Ireland. I love it when you walk into a boozer and it's just someone playing a fiddle, someone playing a guitar, just cracking on. Brilliant.
And I hope they haven't killed it, because it's one of those things that we won't talk about it, but it's one of those things that has kind of been stopped for really no logical reason I can see. Is live music is not allowed to be played, which I don't understand, but I really hope that it does make a full comeback, because I personally love it, and I completely and utterly lack musical talent. I lack most talents, to be honest. I can't really cook or anything either, but the only thing I can do is fix mechanical things. That's all I was born with. But there's a couple of my friends who would be really talented musicians, and I know they'd love to get back to it, so hopefully it picks back up.
I don't know if you've watched Richie Vida's. He did a tour of the Wild Atlantic Way.
I watched him, yeah, very good.
And obviously he's I hate him. I love you, Rich, but I hate the bloke because he's so talented musically. You know,
he's ridiculous.
It's not. He can just walk in somewhere, pick up an instrument, and start playing. And I hate him.
Yeah. I understand what you mean though, because you're like, wow, you're so good, but God, I hate you because you're so good.
I would love to be like that, but nah.
Yeah, me too. But it's not in my bones. So you know,
anyone that was at this year's Wild Bad Weekend that heard me sing 500 Miles, you'll know I'm not musical. What was I going to say there? I was going to say something about. Oh yeah, how are things over there in terms of COVID? You know, are things back to any semblance of normality or?
They are and they aren't. I mean, obviously, it's. I think it's the same as ever. It's going a bit worse again now. Again, going a bit worse. So things are kind of quietening down. To be honest, and I know this probably isn't the best way to put it, I tend to just ignore it as much as I can and go about my daily life as normal as I can. Same. But yeah, it's definitely the effect. What like a big problem for me, which was really annoying, was I had to go to the States for work in June, which obviously was not the best time to travel. And because at the time it was predicted I'd get, I don't know, vaccinated in like mid 2023 in Ireland. So they were offering them. I got vaccinated in the car park of a Piggly Wiggly in North Carolina. And that is the truth, right? By an army man, very nice guy. Thanks for that. But the reason I did it was because if I didn't do that when I came back to Ireland, I would have to stay in a hotel room for 2 weeks, which just was not happening. Yeah. So I was like, look, you could stick pure acid in my veins. And at that point, I'd be like, no hotel rooms. Just to completely avoid the argument, because I know there's a lot of for and against, and I just stay clear of it because I don't care enough, to be honest. I just like whatever. But when I came back, then obviously I had an American card thing, and then I couldn't get the EU one, so I couldn't do anything. So I was just like completely in the middle of everything. And even, you know, you ring the helpline and they're like, yeah, no, like we get your point, but also no, you can't do all the things. So that was insane. Annoying. Just mental, completely mental.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get bogged down in this, but that's purely. I've got a fair amount of contempt for it all now because there's just no logic. There's zero logic in any of this anymore at all. If it was logical and they could back it up with science and actual science and results, then I would play the game. But now I've been double jabbed. I'm not convinced I'm going to go booster. The only reason I got double jabbed was to travel. And now it's like, well, how often are we going to have to do this? Have you listened to the latest Joe Rogan podcast with Dr. Peter McCulloch? I'm
actually halfway through it, yeah. So,
what do you think?
It's just one of those things that it's like, surely not. You know what I mean? When you're listening to it, you're like, I'd hate using the terms, but you're like, am I insane? Like listening to this and being like, well, hold on a second, you know. But I try to listen to as broad a base of stuff as I can.
Same.
Like I think that's how you get a really healthy picture of current world things. Because obviously if you just focus in on one side or the other of any argument, you do tend to miss a lot.
It's tainted, isn't it? It's tainted.
It is.
You can't just have one side of an argument. Yeah.
No, you just can't. But yeah, listening to him is I don't know. It's strange, isn't it? It's if even half of what he's saying is true, it's like what?
It's infuriating.
How is this? It's really, really annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, folks. All I can say to you is, please listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with Peter McCulloch. Listen to what the man says and make your own mind up. That's all I'm going to say. Let's draw a discreet veil under that now because I can feel my blood rising.
Yeah. Good God.
We'll crack on with some questions. Charlie Callard. Charlie, how you doing, pal? Evening, gents. Question 1. So you're having a movie made about you. Who is cast to be the role of you? Cracking question.
Oh,
cool. Blimey. Cool.
Who's going first?
Oh, crikey.
Who would play me? I'm really bad at names as well. So like even if I picture an actor, I'm like, what's his name?
I'd want to say Brad Pitt, but mine's more like
Brad Pitt on stilts for you, I think.
No. Brad Pitt after he's been to Greg's for about a month and a half.
I'd love to say The Rock, but it's because I love him, but it makes no sense.
He's awesome.
And he'd probably do a terrible Irish accent. And he's shorter than me, so it just wouldn't work.
Well, yeah, because you're a big old lump. What are you, 6'5"?
6'7".
You're 6'7".
Too tall is the answer. Too tall.
Wowza.
Yeah. Trying to buy clothes and whatnot is challenging. Yeah, we'll go with The Rock just because he's a legend. All around legend. Even though he's
not that you want to blow your own trumpet or anything, but yeah, The Rock.
Well, he's an all-around legend, so he might make me look good. I'm most certainly not.
Got you. I think for me, I like what's the guy from King of Queens, the American comedian from King of Queens?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
What's his name? Kevin something. Is it Kevin?
I'm so bad with names. I'm not sure. I know the guy you're talking about, but
he was in Hitch and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
because he's a large chap. Mind you, he's American.
See, again, with the accent, that's the thing.
Yeah,
he's going to butcher your accent.
Yeah, he is. I'm trying to think of a Scottish guy that's physically. What's the word? A fat Scottish geezer. I'm trying to think of a fat Scotsman.
Man,
actor.
You can't call yourself fat anymore. You could probably roll from Scotland to China.
I am fat. There's no hiding it. I'm fat. You know what I mean? I accept that.
Yeah, but there's well insulated and fit, and there's fat. There's the big difference.
I'm not even fit anymore. I used to be fit. Genuinely, I used to be a fit fat guy, and now I'm just a fat guy.
Are you still doing the rowing?
No. I've not rowed properly since, I would say, probably end of April was the last time I properly was rowing 5 days a week, and then it drastically drifted away when we got a dog end of May. And I mean, I'm walking. I walk the pup at least once a day, if not twice a day. So I'm still doing that, but I'm not rowing.
Fair enough.
This is bugging me, Charlie. I can't think of a fat.
Hold on, I'll Google Scottish actors. Scottish male actors.
Scottish actors. It can't be sexist. Maybe there's a fat female Scottish actress.
We could feed up James McAvoy.
Now, he's a bit of a legend. I know a few people personally in the bike industry who've met him because apparently he's into his bikes, and they've all said he's a really genuine, nice guy.
But there you go. So we just feed him up, put him on stilts, and he's you.
There we go. James, if you're listening, or if anyone knows James and they're listening, tell him there's a job for him if he wants it.
I'm actually going to see Irish male actors because I probably The Rock. Probably it's just not going to work out with the name.
I like Gerard Butler as well.
Far too good looking. Chris O'Dowd. We'll go. Chris O'Dowd could probably play me.
Who's that? Who's Chris O'Dowd?
IT crowd.
I'm old. I haven't watched it.
Oh. I don't know what else he's in, to be honest. I don't know him, the IT crowd. Sorry, Chris. Hold on, we'll find out. Hold on. Sorry, Chris. Recently he's in nothing I've watched. So maybe
this is like having my own Jamie. This is great. We should do this every week. You're just on Google.
No problem. Maybe he's maybe. There you go. He definitely accept the role as me because he's clearly in decline. He needs a job. Sorry, Chris. Sorry, I'm only joking.
Right. Question 2. Since we've just blown that, you have coffee, beer, and fuel. Which do you have a lifetime supply of, and which do you keep, and which one is lost forever? Okay. Coffee, beer, and fuel. Which one is a lifetime supply? Which one do you keep, and which one is lost forever?
Well, I think lifetime supply has to be fuel, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Of the other two, though, that's a mean question.
Beer and coffee.
I don't know. Could I survive without coffee? Is the problem?
Yeah, I'd have to keep coffee and lose beer.
I think I'm the same. Yeah. I don't think I'd survive without coffee. I love my coffee.
everyone thinks I'm a raving alky because every time I do the podcast, I'm drinking a beer. But I mean, this is literally this is the only sort of regular time I have a beer is 2-3 cans when I do a podcast once a week.
Yeah, that's pretty
the rest
fair.
of the time, I don't drink. Honest.
I very rarely drink myself, so it'd have to be coffee I'd keep. Sorry to disappoint everyone about the stereotypical Irishman.
I'm just thinking because I know people will be going, hang on, what about, and when I'm away on a bike trip, evenings, I'll have a beer. Yeah, so social stuff and trips, I'll have a beer in the evening. But normal life, no.
In moderation, it's fine, Bruce. You're not an alcoholic.
It's not moderation. I proper knock it back. Mind you, everyone else that's with me drinks a lot. So it's not just me. If everyone else is doing it, surely it's okay.
If we're all alcoholics, none of us are alcoholics. That's how it works.
Yeah. Right, the Bolt Hole Biker. Evening, chaps. Firstly, what do you think the percentage chances are of the two of you both fitting into a Fiat 500? Not a hope in hell. Not if you're 6'7".
You'd be surprised. You'd be. Actually, also number one, Bolt Hole Biker has a great channel himself. He's a patron of mine. He's a very nice dude. But interesting seeing him there. But hello, by the way. And what else? Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. I rented a Fiat 500 years ago now, which broke my soul actually, because myself and the missus went over to Spain, all around Tarragona. And I don't know if you've ever been to Tarragona, but that's where the Tarragona Rally is. Like, they have some unbelievable roads over there, like down past like a castle on a cliff, Miravet and stuff like that. And anyway, we rented a car because she had never been on a bike with me at that point, and it was a Fiat 500. And actually, they're quite spacious. I think me and you would fit just fine. The car might struggle, the suspension might break, but I would give it a 100% chance.
I can't believe. Are you sure it was a Fiat 500 and not like the Grande Fiat 500?
No, it was just a standard Fiat 500.
My wife and I went to a friend's wedding down in France, and we had the same thing. When we arrived at the airport, we were given a Fiat 500 as the loan car. And my missus is not a big woman, and there just was no room. I mean, I was literally like this trying to drive this car.
I never said we'd be comfortable. As an important clarification, if herself wasn't small, like my elbows were like that, you're just kind of in their space, but you could drive it.
Jesus.
If you do come to Ireland, we'll have to find someone to volunteer a Fiat 500 for us to both fit into.
Right. There's another video in that, isn't there?
Just
second question.
Half an hour to get in and out.
Exactly, a crowbar. I enjoyed watching your Scotland trip recently. Any plans to get yourself back to Blighty, but maybe venturing a bit further south? Not too far. We've got some awesome riding roads in the north of England and can even arrange for rain to make you feel a bit more at home if you'd like.
You can leave off the rain. I don't need more of that. That's fine. Yes, I would love to get back over, to be honest. I'd love to go to Scotland for longer. And also, because of the likes of yourself and Richie Veed and whatnot, the Peak District, I'd love to go there. Right all around that area. It looks stunning. Obviously Wales, I'd love to get to Wales as well. So yeah definitely it's on the cards, provided my life lets me and whatnot. Absolutely, I'd love to get back over, because really it's actually a very short ferry hop, and I mean the ferry to Scotland is very cheap as well. So I think a lot of those things are just really a case of just saying, right, I'm going on that day and that's it, and just go, because otherwise you won't. And I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the Scotland trip as well. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant.
How long were you over? Was it 3 days? Is that right? Am I right in thinking it was 3 days?
I'm trying to think now myself. No, it was 4 days total, I think. Four nights, 5, maybe five.
Oh, okay. All right.
For over 5 days, I think it was 4 nights. Yeah, 4 nights.
Have you got a favourite part of it?
Yeah.
I bet you'd like to do again.
Yeah, Cairngorms National Park, all those roads around there. I'd love to do the Isle of Skye again, because the day we were out on the Isle of Skye, it got so cold. It was raining sure the whole way, but it got really cold out there, really, really cold. Yeah. So I'd love to experience that with some, it doesn't have to be dry, but maybe like 10-degree weather would be fine. Just, it was so cold.
Summer. God, I remember that. It was about 95. It hit 10 degrees. It was, God, what a summer. Great day.
Yeah.
Skye is a beautiful place, man. A lot of people say it's Scotland in miniature because it's almost got parts of the whole of Scotland all in that one wee island. It's
Stunning.
breathtaking. God, it's gorgeous.
And like we when we rode out there, it was like I said, it was lashing rain, but just the views. I said it on the video. I think I said it to the guys who I was with. I actually think the rain added a bit to it because all the peaks and stuff you come past, and I'm not sure what the island is across the way from it, with the mountains on it. I think is it the Hebrides?
Hebrides. The start of the Hebrides, yeah.
Yeah, you can see them in the distance and you could just see the rain clouds just drifting across them. It was just it was such an experience. I absolutely loved Scotland. I'm surprised you don't live up there again, to be honest, other than the rain, but it's just, what a place.
Yeah, I've often questioned why I came down this neck of the woods, I've got to say. Funnily enough, my wife, once she retires, once she finishes in the old bill, she wants to retire back up to Scotland, hopefully with me. But yeah, she would like to head up that way. She loves it up there.
Yeah, and the roads are really good too, like surface-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a great place. There's quite a few sort of beautiful parts of the UK and what I've seen of Ireland so far. And I think a lot of the time we're in this quest, aren't we, to travel abroad to try and find these stunning places. And a lot of the time it's right there on our doorstep. You know, there's stunning places right here on this wee island.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway,
just avoid cities. Avoid cities. That's all I ever say.
Yeah. Don't come to London. Just don't come. Right, next one. Crazy Legs on a Bike. How you doing, Jake? My question. You clearly are mechanically minded, but when putting vlogs out showing how to and rebuilds, do you ever get challenged in YouTube comments or receive negative comments? If so, how do you deal with it? No way. Who gets negative comments on YouTube?
No one. Well, number one, I'm glad I come across as mechanically minded. My boss will be delighted. Maybe he won't fire me after all. Yes, I suppose with the comments thing, I try to remember the whole question in my head, but the comments, yes, I do. I mean, yes and no. I've actually, strangely enough, I've never had like a complete and utter bad comment on one of the mechanical videos because I'm very clear on those that I am not a qualified mechanic. If you want to follow along the video and see what I'm doing, it's very much look, this is how I'm doing it from my bike in my way. I'm not telling you this is the best way to do it. I'm not saying this is the service manual A to Z to do it. And I think people do appreciate that as well. I hope. And actually, oftentimes look, there have been negative comments, obviously, yes. And there's been, comments that are like, well, I saw you use this type of grease to reseat, your brake pistons, but you should have used this one. That's what I use. And it's like, yeah, well, both are correct. So in a way, yeah. But actually, when I was refreshing the Gixxer at the time, there was a guy from London actually, and he said he used to work with Suzuki for 25 years, and he messaged me privately and said, "You're doing a great job, but I'll keep an eye out for you in case I see you do anything terribly wrong," which I really appreciated. That was really nice to have. Yeah. It was just a nice little backup, and the end of it, when I started up, he just messaged me and he said, "No, look good, well done." I'm like, sweet. So
happy days.
Yeah, not on the mechanical videos. Now that I think of it, no, generally they're positive. Just sometimes people have a difference of opinion on, the method, say.
Yeah. That's your S-Rad, isn't it? Your S-Rad Gixxer 750.
I love that bike. I love that bike so much.
Is that the one that had the little mishap at the track?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Go
is.
on. Tell us all about it. Tell us all. Mate, I've crashed enough Gixxers. It happens.
Yeah, that one. Well, I crashed it. It was the first day up there actually on the Gixxer. So I'd done a track day on the CBF previous to that, and I brought the Gixxer up. And it's funny, I even remember saying to herself that I remember the day before, I was like, because I wasn't 100% happy with the bike. I'd gotten it together, I'd gotten it on the road. It was riding nice, but I really wasn't happy with the rear suspension. I know enough about suspension to know when it's not right, but I'm not a genius, especially with shocks. Shocks are, especially with Dean after showing me, they're very, very, very complicated with all the little springs that have to move to allow fluid to flow. They're crazy. Forks are way more simple than shocks. But
Jesus, I thought a shock was just a big spring.
Man, there's like well, it looks like hundreds, but it's probably like 20. These little spring like washers that are slightly bent and they're different thickness and stuff, and they're actually what let the fluid flow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I really wasn't happy anyway with my suspension, particularly rear. Front, I knew was a bit soft, but manageable. And I had an off feeling the whole time. I remember I went up anyway, and I was taking it easy enough. I was in novices and pushing on a bit, getting more comfortable. And then one of the marshals, Chris, who was an absolutely brilliant teacher up there as well. Just if you're ever in Mondello, talk to Chris, he'll look after you. And I was pushing on a bit more than in Inters, got a few laps in, felt really good. As far as I remember, there was a red flag way to come in, and it was probably a combination of a lot of things, including me not heating the tires back up fully. Just went out with excitement, bit of excitement, and was pushing on towards a corner that I still don't really like now, and I probably never will because I just can't get the line I want on it. But I came in quite close to the curb, and Chris was behind me, actually had his GoPro on, and the rear suspension never fully, I had compressed it coming into the corner, and it basically just, it was fully compressed. So I leaned, and just the rear tire just let go.
Right.
Now I look back in the video and I was like, did I like throttle it out? And despite a few comments that I did get in that one saying you were too happy on the throttle, you gunned it. I literally have a 360 cam that I can point directly at my hand, and it doesn't move. It's completely even throttle. But anyway, that's immaterial. I did crash it. And then, the rear end went, and I don't know, have you ever had a low side like that? But you do not know that it's happening. It's there 1 second, gone the next. And then all I remember was sky ground. It was an interesting one. Good experience, I suppose. I stood up from it and walked away, so couldn't be that bad.
It's better a low side than a high side.
Absolutely. And
you don't want to be doing a Superman.
No. I witnessed a few high sides up there, and it is what encouraged me to buy a climb GPS air vest for track days, because I've done quite a few this year. So I saw one or two. One guy had the exact same vest on, and I mean, he just stood up and literally strolled away from something that if he hadn't had one on, it would have been bad. And I've witnessed, unfortunately, a few of the people have gotten hurt. So yeah, better to have it on, I suppose, in that case, when you're doing a good few.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. I've just been approached by, is it Helite, the French company, and they're giving me one of their sort of GPS electronic vests. Excuse me, to try out next year. So hopefully I'll not have to try it out for real, but who knows?
But had to have it there as backup, yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a wee post on my socials actually when I was up there at the NEC. The amount of people that contacted me going, not just with Halite, but with various other air vests. People were just like, saved my life. I've crashed wearing a vest, and I walked, as you said, I walked away, or I had a sprained wrist, whereas I should have had obliterated shoulders, broken neck, all the rest of it, ribs. So, I mean, they obviously work. I've got mates who've had big crashes wearing them, so it'll be interesting to see. I hope I don't get to test it in anger, but we'll see.
What I think is very interesting is like Alpine Stars. They say that their base level air vest is 10 times better than their top level back protector. It will protect your back 10 times better, which, look, I know they're a big investment, but I mean, that's the reason I went with the one I went with is you pay like half of the full cost up front, and then you can pay €12 every month for 3 years, which look, it suited me to do that way. Obviously, if you can pay up front, it's probably better to do it up front. But I'll be really interested to see how the Helite one gets on, because I'd like to get one that you wear over your clothes for the road, whereas that GPS one you wear under your leather, so it's really for more track applications. Yeah.
One thing that I'm unsure about is I always wear a rucksack, and I don't know if I could put a rucksack over the top of this. I'll need to speak with Hellight.
It's a fair question, yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
I suppose you probably can, provided it's the rucksack's loose enough to let it expand, because that's what they say on the one, that goes under my leathers, is they check you for how much space you have under your leathers, which at this time of year is definitely less than it was in summer. But they check for that place. So provided it can expand, I mean, it'd be the same as you crashing with a rucksack, except you have an airbag between you and the rucksack. So it would make sense.
I'm lucky to get my phone in my leathers when I'm wearing them, let alone an air vest. Anyway, never mind. Right, Crazy Legs on a Bike, Jay. Negative comments. I mean, I know Crazy Legs has a channel, Crazy Legs on a Bike, and it's just part and parcel, isn't it? It's part and parcel of putting yourself out there on social media these days. Sadly, it's one big, massive school playground, and you are going to get arseholes. And I will quantify this. Sometimes people aren't being arseholes. Sometimes people, they either don't convey what they're saying correctly in text, or, as I've been I've been guilty of quite a few times, the person reading that comment can take it in all manner of different ways. I've read comments and thought someone's having a pop, and I've had a pop back, gone to sleep, woke up the next day to read the reply, only to reread their comment and go, oh shit, they weren't actually having a pop. It was just me having a bad day. So yeah.
But I think it comes back to what you said. We're all human at the end of the day. You make those kind of reading errors, and I think I've done the same, and people have done the same back to some of my replies. And I always just try, basically give people the benefit of the doubt, unless they're very clearly being an arsehole. But then for me, at the same time, and it's something that I kind of try to keep in my head, is you're never going to please everyone, and not everyone will like you. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. If you can't deal with that fact, if you're a people pleaser and you just want to be liked by everyone, it is any form of social media is not the place to raise your head, because
it'll be a tough space to be. Yeah.
Aye. And it will get you, it does have an effect. If you're having a bad time and you start reading even one negative comment, it can work its way in there. So just be wary of all that.
and if you do go that route, I suppose, and you're having a bad day, which I do a lot, and it's funny because I'll get messages off people like, oh, you didn't, you're not on Instagram today, you're not on YouTube today, and if I know those people, I'll just be like, yeah, no, it's not feeling it today. If I'm having a bad day and I'm aware of it, I don't even look at the comments, because it does affect you. You know what I mean? So totally. Like you said, it colors your reading of stuff and everything. So I just leave them alone for the day.
Yeah. It's funny. Do you find yourself going, I go through, well, it's not even phases, but there's just been times when I've sort of had enough of the whole sort of the influencer thing. I don't like, I like when people say my videos or my content has had an impact on them, and it's made them get out there and go and explore places and meet up with new people and try new things. I love that. That's why I do it, Yep. But I really don't like the term influencer, because I'm seeing what's happening on social media at the moment with people who've come from nowhere, who all of a sudden start posting generic content and all of a sudden get a massive following, and they're now like influencers. And I think I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be part of that world. But it's a hard one, because it very much is part of this whole sort of motovloggy. Certainly, if you want to either do it as a living, which is effectively what I'm doing at the moment, or you want to grow, you have to play a bit of the game. And I'm finding it a real conflict at the moment, and that I don't want to be a walking billboard. I really don't want any of that. I'll never promote something that I'm not happy with, or I've never tried even myself. And I see so many people promoting bikes or products who they've literally maybe sat on it and that's it. And I just think, I don't want to be part of that. But it's difficult.
Yeah, 100%. It is, and I to be honest, I think it's actually the nice thing about being like a smaller channel like myself is, at the moment I'm in the nice space that I have a job, but I actually like my job. Do I want to do that style of job forever? Again, please don't fire me, boss. No, absolutely not. But is it a nice space to be that really and truly, if YouTube was to explode in the morning for me and delete my channel or whatever else, it really and truly, it'd just make me really sad, but I'd be absolutely fine financially and everything else. It is a very difficult line for, guys like yourself to tread. And I think you see that with how it affects growth is, if you look at the likes of one of my favorite channels, Shade Tree Surgeon, he has kind of always really stuck to his guns. But then you see other channels that maybe have bent a bit more and went with certain things. And I won't name anyone because I'm not here to do that. But
I know
they've grown exponentially. But then again, you see that he actually gets more views than a lot of those guys with the huge number of followers. And you'd wonder, have people just kind of gotten wise to, like that. They literally brush past the bike once and smell it. And then they're like, oh, well, this is the best bike I've ever touched.
Yeah. So, it really was it really was an eye opener for me going to some of these press launches, and it's not even like a bike launch where everyone gets invited to the same place and then everyone goes away and have escorted rides. It's not those I'm talking about. It's these ones where you turn up and they've got a fleet of bikes and it's just given to you. There you go. You get on that bike and you spend however long you want on that bike, as long as it's back by the end of the day. Happy days. Brilliant. Well, I turned up there and in my head, I was like, well, there's 2 bikes that I want to ride. It means I'm only going to get half a day on each one. And I'm thinking, Jesus, how can I get a good feeling for this bike in half a day? The amount of journalists and influencers that turned up, and literally 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, which is you're in a place where you're not really going to get very far in that time. And they came back and did a vid on it. And I'm just like, how have you got a feeling for that bike in that length of time? Maybe it's me. Maybe I need to speed up. I don't know. But it was a big sort of eye opener. Definitely.
Yeah. I like it. It actually sounds like you do very similar to what I do. Like I'm lucky enough, and I hope long may it continue. Like the likes of Freeman Motorcycles near me who let me take out bikes that they have up for sale. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of trust to put with some number one, which I massively appreciate. Yeah, it's crazy. I still don't know why people do it. Like, I know there might be some benefit for them on a social media front, or maybe to get their bikes out there. But to be honest, I think Seamus, the owner, he's just a really good dude, and everyone who works there, I'm not going to name everyone, but they're all lovely and actually very supportive of the channel. But what I do with them is, I'll organize a bike that I'm interested in, and I'll go down and I ride that bike around. Like, the cameras are off, and I ride it around. I get a really good feel of it. I do all my brake tests and I get comfortable with it, because the last thing you want to do as well is, for me, is launch into a video and just be going around like, a newborn giraffe, really looking like you don't, so that's how I do them. And like that, people, I get messages a lot like, oh, I see they have this bike, could you do them? And like, for me, if I'm lucky, I'll get to them twice in 1 month, and I get to do one bike a day, because you're there, you might be 4 to 6 hours, and that's how long it takes me. I want to get mileage on it. I fill it up with fuel, put mileage on it, get comfortable with it, do all my little tests, and then I start the video and just kind of run through everything again. And that's how I like to do it. And I completely agree. I don't think you get a good feel for something, especially if you don't go away and actually, because it's like anyone who says that they can jump onto any bike and ride it as fast as they possibly can, unless they're like one of the guys in 44 Teeth in 20 minutes. I don't believe them, because for me anyway, I need to you need to get used to it. Brakes are different, acceleration is different. Every single bike handles slightly differently. You know what I mean? So you need to get used to it and get comfortable with it.
I used to be very skeptical of the bike journals, of your MCNs, people like, your Nevesy and all that lot. And I used to think to myself, really? You're just riding a bike? But it's given me a new appreciation for those folk, especially now I'm doing a lot of work with Simon Weir as well. You know, he used to be, he still is a journalist, but they have a depth of feel, and an understanding for a bike and its geometry, and I appreciate you probably will as well, the mechanics of the bike, which I will never ever possess, you know, and for those people, absolutely, I fully believe they can jump on a bike and almost straight away get a feel for the bike, just in the initial thoughts of it. Yeah, for me, I need a lot of time and a lot of miles on a bike, and even then, a lot of the time I struggle to convey it in any technical terms. It tickles my danglies, you know, that it's ridiculous, but that's pretty much what. If a bike tickles my nuts, if a bike makes me laugh, makes me feel great, then hopefully I can portray that on video. But I couldn't tell you why it does it, and that's why the journalists are there, because they'll tell you it's doing it because of this.
But I think that is actually why I like watching your videos, because for me, I will jump on a bike and I will dissect it in my head mechanically. That's just how my brain works. And I know that's really, like, some people watch my videos and be like, why did you talk about, you know, that one thing on the frame for so long, right? Because that's what caught my interest. But I think that's why I like your review videos so much, is they're very much completely different to what I would pick up on, which is really good. Because if someone was to go and watch, say, one of your videos and then one of my videos on the exact same bike, they will be different, which is what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And I really like a lot of what Nevesy does. I really like how he talks about suspension and stuff like that. He's hopefully I'd like to meet all these people one day myself, but you never know.
Nevesy's got so much better on camera, isn't he? Do you remember when MCN first sort of dabbled in YouTube? It was horrific. It was terrible. Sure.
We're all like that,
they're actually, and now they're producing really good content.
Really good.
He's plainly much more comfortable on video now than he used to be, and it's good stuff, isn't it? I'll tell you what. I'm going to say this because he's a mate, you're a mate, John Lamb Chops. I like that about Chops' channel, because he's quite mechanically minded, probably not to the same level as you, but he certainly does a bit more research on bikes than I literally just jump on the thing. I don't know. Half the time I don't even know what size bloody engine it is, or if it's a triple or if it's an inline four. I just jump on it. Chopsy, he will go into the technical side of things. And again, as you were saying, I like that in his vids. You get a different input, don't you, when you watch a technically minded person's video, as opposed to somebody winging it like me, you know.
Well, you're not winging it. It's a different perspective. But the Lamb Chops, actually, I really liked his recent, the S1000RR. And I'm sorry if this is spoilers for anyone, that he ended up not purchasing. I really liked how, number one, I liked the videos he did the whole way along, and that's something I'd love to do eventually, is get those long-term loaners.
Oh yeah,
because it really he broke it down so well, like, you know what I mean? Not even just to write it, just because he got to really live with the thing and be like, at the end, this is why I'm not buying it, which was, I think, it's funny, you know, it's strange that by saying I'm not buying this bike because these reasons, and it actually was like, that's why I would buy it. You know what I mean? Because it was just cool. Because I mean, I'd love a H2, but I'm never going to own a H2. I don't fit on them.
Neither does he, really, if truth be told. But you know, he's hanging on there. He's hanging on.
But the noise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a beautiful noise, isn't it?
Ridiculous.
It's fantastic. But that RR, man, have you ridden the RR?
Unfortunately, not.
Mate,
I've sat on a few, but that's it.
It's awesome. I am a Gixxer man. I was going to say through and through, but I'm a convert to the RR. I really didn't like the previous versions of the RR, but this new one is just, I love it. It cost me my job ultimately,
but I really hope I own at some point.
Yeah. Yes.
I've ridden several S1000 XRs thanks to my uncle, because he's owned two. He owned the Gen 1 and he owns the Gen 2, and I don't know why he does it, but he trusts me to take his bike away for extended periods of time. He's insane. But if, like, how good the XR is, I can only imagine how good the double R is. Like, it's just.
Do you think? I don't get the XR. I don't get it. It doesn't do anything for me.
I wouldn't. I put it to you this way, right? It's a tough one for me because I every time I ride that bike, I love it. I love when I'm riding it. But then afterwards I get off, and I said it in several of the videos I made on it. You know, you get off the bike, you turn around, and you're like, but what are you though?
Yeah.
What like, yeah. You're brilliant at lots of things, but I don't know why you exist. And one bike I rode recently was actually with Freeman's that it's lived in my head for quite a while, and I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, was actually the F850 GS. Now it was like fully kitted out one. It had all the fancy bits, up and down quick shifter, all that stuff. And afterwards, it's only because I'd ridden them fairly close together, and I got to spend a week with the XR there recently in terrible, terrible weather, but still got to spend a week with it. And I was like, you know, I'm never going to not have something like I'm always going to have my S-Rad, but will I have another sport bike for, you know, hooligan stuff? Why would I own an XR with it? Because an XR it's very much, for me anyway, it's a one bike for someone who definitely wants to bring it to the track a lot, and you know, wants to go out and attempt to lose their license on a daily basis, but also wants to do a touch of touring. But like even the boxes that come on it, the BMW boxes, to put it blunt, they're not big enough. You know, I said that in the commuter video I did on it, is like the top box on my CBF, you could fit a small human in. The top box on the XR, it barely fit my lunch. Like it's just so small. Whereas the F850, I mean, that would do everything I would want on a daily, and still plenty fast enough. They're not by any means going to tear your face off, but they're plenty fast enough and so comfy.
See, I really didn't get the 850. I couldn't for any reason understand why anyone would buy one. I just didn't get it, because to me it's like, okay, if you want a smaller bike than the GS, okay, but then it's not a boxer. It's just it's a different bike. It's a small bike, so it's not a GS, is it? It's not a boxer engine GS. It's a different bike. So for me, I'm like, it didn't have any soul for me at all. Appreciate everyone's different, but for me, I was just the XR had loads of soul. It was fantastic, but it's a sports bike. It's a sport bike for older people that want a bit more comfortable. Yeah, and then for me, I'll just be like, well, I'm assuming that if you're getting a bit longer in the tooth, maybe you don't want to be doing 160, 170 miles an hour. If you do, the XR's the bike for you.
Absolutely.
But you know, if you want sport bike performance for road speeds like up to 80, 90 mile an hour, it's got to be the GS or a big adventure bike, because
I will say I haven't ridden the 1250 GS, so it's
right. Let's not just go 1200, 1250 GS, because people will switch off. Modern adventure bikes.
Modern adventure bikes, yeah. Now, actually, that said, would I buy the F850 over the Africa Twin, because I've been lucky enough to ride those recently as well? No, I'd have the Africa Twin first, just because it does have that little bit more character. But that said, the BMW 850, I don't know, did you have one with all of the bells and whistles? Like, it had the automatically adjusting shock, it had the up-down quick shifter. It was just a really nice place to be. And I took that off for even longer than I meant to, just because I was really enjoying riding the thing.
Yeah.
But don't kill me now, because I know you own a BMW. I think a lot of BMWs in particular, because I've ridden a few of them, they lack soul just because they're so good.
Totally.
They're just so good.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
It's funny though, is it? Because you try to explain that to someone who doesn't get it. Like, you're like, no, my S-Rad has like a massive personality, because it's always doing something that you're just like, like when you're breaking into corners, the S-Rad loves to wiggle its arse. And then, you know, when you're pulling up out of it, like, obviously I'm talking about the track here, by the way, not the road. When you're pulling up out of a corner and just gunning it, you know, I have a steering damper on it, but if I didn't, I mean, that thing just shakes its head like a wet dog. But it's really hard to explain to people. All of those things are terrible, but great. And then you get in one of those BMWs, and it's just like, you know,
Too refined.
Yeah, you can fling it into a corner, and it's just like, no problem, sir. We'll take you out the other side. It's like,
yeah. I've always said that. They are too refined. They are too good. And as soon as you say, "Oh, the GS, it's too good," people just go, "Oh, wanker." But you're not going, "Oh, I'm better than everybody else." It literally is. It's not involved enough. It doesn't towel flick you every now and then, does it? Like the KTM's, even the new 1290 Super Adventure S, which is fucking hooligan. It's great. It's a fantastic machine. It's an amazing machine. Even that on a private road, obviously, once you get north of like 120 and you're pinning it wide open, it starts putting a wiggle on through the bars, and you know that's going to wake you up a little bit.
Yeah, and it gives you a bit. I think you respect it a bit for it.
Yeah.
as in like
more,
you know, like
if I more.
Yeah. Whereas when you do that in the BMWs, they're just perfect. Yeah.
But you know, I've said this before. I would have bought that Super Adventure S, the KTM, but there was two things. One was the reliability, still a lot of electrical gremlins going on. And then I took the KTM back and I jumped on my tractor. And I thought to myself, I had it on camera, but the GoPros, thanks GoPro, the GoPros died. Well, they didn't die. They just muted all the blooming audio. So I've got no audio.
GoPro.
Oh, Jesus. But I actually said on camera, you know, if I jump on this bike now, and it doesn't do anything for me, this is going to be the most expensive test ride I think I've ever done. You know, it's going to be the most expensive 2 weeks I've ever had. And thankfully, I jumped on the tractor, and it genuinely wasn't that far, but for me, wasn't that far behind the KTM. Definitely not as engaging, definitely not as dynamic, but good. It's all right. It was enough for me to go, okay, I'll keep you for a while. We'll see.
But I suppose the thing is, there's very few people, even for instance, on a track, there's very few people who can really take what bikes can do to 100% of their ability. And then there's even less people on the road who are willing to or have the skill to take those bikes 100%. So, you know, if like you said, it's enough for you, you will get almost the exact same out of all of them.
Definitely.
Really.
Mate, I took the Sinus 125 out and it put a bigger smile on my face than like 1,000-litre sports bikes have in the past. It's great bit of fun. Just fun. I don't need to be doing stupid speed anymore to have fun on a bike, and it's nice to be in that place now. Because before it was all about speed. It was all about near death and speed, and it's just not any more for me.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Just like imagine you with your eyes peeled open.
I used to love it on my jigsaws. I used to love it. I was second gear, power band, everywhere, you know, 120, 130, into third gear, keep on going, max the thing out. It's ridiculous.
That is addictive, though. It is addictive.
It is massively. It's great fun, but it's a very quick way to either end up in jail or
somewhere worse
on a slab. Yeah, ultimately. Yeah.
And I think that tour you did on the small bikes, I actually think that's something number one, I'd love to do it. I'd absolutely love to do something like it. I think that is something that everyone who really loves bikes should try to do something like that, because that just looked like so much fun. And like you said, you really don't need to go as fast to still have good crack. I think it's once everyone's on balanced bikes, that's what makes the difference. If you're the one pinning it to try keep up, that does suck a little bit. But you know, if everyone's on balanced bikes, and actually, I don't know, do you ever watch the guys? But Ari Henning's actually a guy I learned quite a bit of mechanically. He used to do great videos on it, and still does really good Instagram lives and stuff. But he did that trip with what's the other man's name? I can't remember it now.
The one up to Alaska on the C90.
Yes.
I've not watched it, but a lot of people have told me about it.
Brilliant. Literally, I watched that, and I have an XT250 in the shed that's been in someone else's shed for a long time that I got that needs to go back together. And literally, as soon as I did that, I went down and I started looking at it again, like, right, okay, the two stanchions are bent. I need to do that. I need to do the carbs, and I want to get this thing running to do something. Just Like, oh, I'm going to go to the most northern point of Ireland on this slow ass 13 brake horsepower XC250. Why not? Like
13.
it's like
13.
I think they were 13 or 18 standard.
Mate, that's like a supercar. Do you know the Sinus is 11? I think the new Sinus is 11.
Yeah, I weigh a lot though. I need that 13.
Are you more than 21 stone?
I think I'm about that at the moment. Yeah, I think I'm about that.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Folks, if you're listening to this and you want Ari Henning to come on, can you please post on your socials and tag him in? I would love to have Ari on here for a chat. It would be awesome.
I would love to hear that. Yeah, I would do that myself because I'd love to hear you have an interview with him.
I would love to chat with him, definitely. For sure. I've tried to get Neevesy and Chad and various other journals on, but it's just I don't think this is their thing. Well, they basically said no, it's not our thing. So I'm not Bennett's. Never mind.
fair enough. Yeah. To be honest, I think if anyone in that circle, say of legit journalists, were to listen to some of these, so I think there's a different audience you can reach, and it's still all bike people. So
definitely,
I think they're mad not to give it a go because you're pretty high up there in Spotify now, right? Let alone the other places.
It's ridiculous in terms of the podcasts. I mean, this podcast it's top 10%. It's not chasing the racing. It's weird to get from like 10% to top 5% is a huge jump.
Yeah.
I get sort of between 10 and 15,000 downloads a month for the podcast, which puts you in top 10% internationally, believe it or not. But to get top really 5, good, I think it's 500,000 downloads a month. So it's a massive jump from 10 to 5.
I suppose though, when you consider who's in the top 5, I mean, you do have the likes of Joe Rogan. Yeah. One of the podcasts I listen to a lot is The Last Podcast on the Left. I'd say they're ridiculous. I mean, their Patreon, Patreon. I patron them as well because I felt bad. They were like the top of my Spotify rewind thing last year. I was like, I should probably throw them some money every month. So I listen to all of their podcasts, but they get like, I think it's $76,000 a month on Patreon.
Wow.
So that just tells you how popular they are. It's crazy, but I mean, fair play, well deserved. They've been doing it for 10 years or something.
Mate, there's people on Patreon earning upwards of $150,000. Is it a month or an episode a week? I think it's a month. It's incredible money. There's not many, but there are people earning that. It's insane.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow. Thank you to everyone that follows on my Patreon. But I don't earn anywhere near that.
I definitely don't. But I have to say, there was, I said it on one of the videos, there was 1 month I had a particularly bad month financially for several reasons. Just everything broke on me. And then, of course, which is fine. Like in my own life, if things break, I don't need them. You know what I mean? I can go to work and all that. But then pretty much all of my bikes broke. And I swear to God, the money from the patron actually paid for it. It was, I can't even remember what it was, but it was something small. I was just like, I have no money left. And the Gixxer was broken. The Magna was playing up because the Magna has weird electrical gremlins. So I don't have indicators at the moment, but it runs fine. So hand signals for me till I save up to buy one of those M units or something to rewire it completely. Right. And then, there was the CBF that was broken, that's my daily. That's my thing. That's what I use to get everywhere. So they saved me. So thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciated that.
I've said it umpteen times on here. I couldn't do this full time without Patreon. They make up pretty much half my income. So I couldn't do it without you folks. Thank you. In fact, I lost a sponsor today, which was fantastic. It's just what you want to hear, but just before Christmas.
Oof. Yeah.
But anyway.
Are you allowed to say who it was?
Yeah, I will do anyway. I don't owe them anything. B-Moto. Yeah, they just decided to pull, which is awesome.
All right.
Yeah, it's great. There's reasons behind it. I will not go into the reasons, but yeah, they've pulled. Never mind.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
That's all right, man. It's life goes on. Do you know what I mean? You got to make things work, haven't you? It's part of being self-employed.
Yeah.
Right, next one. Harley. Sorry, I'll just have a quick read, make sure I got all of Crazy Legs' questions there. Yeah. That was just about negative comments online.
He really set us off on one, didn't he?
He did, yeah. We proper went on one there. Harley, how's it, guys? What's the biggest misconception people have about you, and why do they think that? Oh, that's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Oh, wow.
Let me think now. Let me think.
Do you ever know what people think about you? Unless they actually have the balls to say it to your face.
But there is one actually that's been said to me several times. It's funny. So I suppose that's probably the biggest one I know about. We'll put it that way. Is, I think people expect me in person. And actually the Chronicles of Mr. Fish has met me in person, so he probably could confirm this. I obviously don't come across in videos and stuff, but I'm actually very shy in person, which I know probably looks ridiculous, like 6'7" creature and just going like hiding in the corner. But that's been said to me a few times. I went to like Freeman Motorcycles had an event for I think it was Motowitch, and they had an event, and I said I'd call down because they're only half an hour for me. Any excuse to get out on the bike really, and. There was some people there who saw me post on Instagram that I was going. There was some people obviously said hello, but afterwards, one or two people messaged me like, I never even noticed you there. I was like, how'd you miss me? I was there. And they were like, I just thought you'd be like, big and talking and whatever. It's like, no, I was literally, I'd stay to the edge and talk to one person at a time. I don't do crowds. Yeah. It's not something I'm good at. So I suppose that's probably the biggest one. Why they have it, I suppose, because I make YouTube videos. Maybe you probably come across as like a super confident person, but no, I'm not in reality. So
sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
No, walk away. I was finished.
I can sympathise with that. I was very much like that. Even though I was a bouncer before I joined the old Bill, so you're very much, you've got to put yourself out there. But that wasn't. I was like that from a job, but in my private life, I was quite reserved, unless I'd had a beer, in which case I was naked somewhere on the dance floor. But
it's fair enough, yeah.
And then in the old Bill, again, you're putting on a uniform and you're portraying something to the public. But privately, I was like you. I was very reserved. I would never be the center of attention. I just wasn't into that. It was traveling. Traveling changed all that for me. Not that I don't think I'm an extrovert now, but I would never have done this before, invited people I don't really know on to have a chat for a couple of hours. I would have never done any of that. And now I've got no problem. I get up and give talks and presentations in front of people. I don't care if it's, 6 people at a local club or 20,000 people at a big event. That doesn't bother me.
Fair
but I also, I'm sure you could.
Oh,
but then I'm also perfectly happy to flip the switch and just be like a little recluse. I quite like my own space for sure.
Yep.
Whether that's on the bike and just go away and do my own thing, or just sat at home with the missus and my dog and just chill for a while. I'm quite happy in my own space, but for me, I also enjoy meeting people. I enjoy the social side for sure.
And do you think, because actually it's something as well, just in case people listening are interested in it, I suppose it's something that is kind of like a constant battle in my own head. Like even for the Scotland trip, for instance, right? I know all the 3 guys I went with because I started making YouTube videos, and I met 2 of the 3 in person before. So lovely guys, by the way. But what they don't know, actually, the only person I've said it to already is obviously the missus. But before, literally the first 2 days before, as we were going, I was like, I don't think I can go, just because I was like freaking out a bit. But that happens to me even about making videos. So some days I'm just like, I just can't talk to the camera. But I've gotten, it's crazy, like, but I don't know, do you do this? But how I get over it in my own head is just like, you tell yourself you're being a bit silly. And it's actually why, not why, but it was one of the reasons why I started making videos, was to kind of become more confident in that, which has worked. I'm way better talking to people in public now and everything else. And obviously doing this, I wouldn't have done this 3 years ago. No way.
Same.
It is weird.
Same, but I also appreciate not everyone can do it. I appreciate there's some people out there who have crippling anxieties, and they're not in a position where they can go to themselves, get on with it, and do it, which is how I do it, and obviously which is how you do it.
Yep.
But there's other things, like I've said this before again on here. You know, things like I'm going to lose people here. Women-only track days, I've said it again on here before, really annoy me. When people go, oh, but I get intimidated. Women say, oh, I get intimidated when I turn up at a track day and there's men there. I get intimidated when I turn up at a track day and there's people there. It's, I just think, why do we have to like label all these things? I thought everything's about equality these days, isn't it? So let's just have a novice only day. Just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. A novice. I was actually going to say, I do get where people are like, for track days, for instance, right? I completely understand certain things where, women do women only events where, maybe there's drink involved, whatever else, because we all know that plenty of guys get creepy, whatever. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. No, that is true. Yeah.
Fair enough.
No,
I completely understand that. But for track days, and to be quite honest, if I ever saw anything like that at a track day, someone's getting punched in the face. You know what I mean? Because it's a completely different environment. But a novice only day, absolutely. Because like you said, the first time you go up to one, you are breaking it. You see these guys with like full bore race bikes, they're race bikes.
Vans.
And they're just like, I mean, these dudes are like, for all I know, you could be like MotoGP under there. I don't know. I don't know. And even like a real novice only track day, I think that would be absolutely understandable, as in, obviously there's novices who've been to 10 track days, but they're just still novices. And I mean, they're way faster than a novice.
Yeah.
And it can be really intimidating like that when people just are flying past you into corners and stuff. So I get that. But really, I think once you're under a helmet and under leathers, I mean, no one really cares what gender you are.
Yeah. You're there, aren't you? You're just there. And
you're just another biker. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, it's difficult because I've said this before on the podcast about things like women-only track days and stuff. But then I also realise I'm not a woman.
You're a tall man. I'm
a 6'3", 21 stone Scottish geezer who isn't afraid to say to somebody, "Shut your mouth." You know what I mean? Whereas
exactly, yeah.
So I suppose in a way, who am I to comment about how other people? Well, it's true, isn't it? Hell. This is like therapy, this, isn't it?
But it's a funny one because I completely get where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's something that has been, even in many situations where I'll be like, "Oh, why are you doing that? That's stupid." They'll be like, "Well, Mike, you are, a large male human. Of course, it's difficult for you to get into those shoes and understand." It's like, no, I can agree there. It is. I'm looking at it from a very, very different perspective. So
that's true. That is true. Yeah. I might take that back. Maybe I should take that. Well, it's not that I should take it back. Maybe I feel like I should take that back. I don't know.
Well, I do agree.
Let us know in the comments
that just to end that one before we're all shot. Is I do think that for me anyway, I don't. A biker's a biker. I don't care what's under there, what bits you have.
Same.
If you like bikes, I'll talk to anyone who has an interest in bikes. Unless you're like some crazy axe murderer who also is mad into bikes, then I probably won't talk to you.
Yeah, but then you've maybe got a story to tell too.
Yeah, well, I suppose. As long as you're not axe murdering me, I suppose.
I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. Shiver. I've forgotten what I was going to say. So I just read Harley's question again. Misconception people have about you, and why do they think that? And I think, for me, on a personal note, I think it's not just random people, but maybe some friends that I've known for a long, long, long time. I'm very conscious. I feel like I've changed as a person over the years, and maybe they haven't seen I maybe knew them in my school days or my uni days, that sort of stuff. They've maybe not seen me as what I think is an adult, like 25 plus, when you grow up a bit and you've got a bit of life experience about you. I think a lot of people a lot of people saw me as a bouncer, then as old Bill, and they automatically have this preconception that you're a type of person. You know, you're power hungry. You're like you're going to be right wing in your thoughts because you're in that. You've gone down that avenue, that sort of thing.
Mm.
And I really hope I'm not like that. You know.
Oh,
sorry,
thank you. Sorry.
Nice Christmas tree too.
Oh, thank you. The cat keeps trying to knock it over.
We've just not bothered this year because we've got the puppy, and it would last 2 seconds with that hulking great big horse of a dog. I think my friends know what sort of person I am, but other people definitely, again, going by comments and stuff. As soon as people hear that you were old Bill, or you used to be old Bill, they just have this preconception that you're some sort of right-wing bigoted Nazi, and I hope people realize I'm not.
I never, not that I always do it. It goes back to the no one's perfect thing. I try not to make quick judgments on people anymore, because I think, like you said, when you're younger, you do, and you've proven wrong so many times. You're like, well, I'm an asshole, and then people prove you wrong. But like that, I think, and I would be definitely guilty of that. I wasn't with you because you weren't a guard in Ireland, but definitely if you meet someone in Ireland and they're like, I'm a guard, I'm like, oh, here we go. They're gonna hate me because I have a bike and I like to go fast and stuff. And oftentimes they're like, nah, I'd hate you if you went fast, like too fast. Going fast is fine. That's I don't. So the adult bit's an interesting one too, because I mean, your priorities change as well, don't they? I mean, when someone knows you when you're younger, and you'll just leave off everything and go this, that, and the other. But now, like, if some of my friends get on to me, I'm like, oh no. I do 2 videos a week. I have to edit this night, or I don't have a video ready for this night. Like, I stayed up late last night to get a video done that's coming out tomorrow, so I can come on this, etc. You know what I mean? So there's different priorities as well, I suppose, when you get older. So that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Are you another one that can get a video edited in like a day or two? I can't do it.
It depends on the video type. Right. I find and it's something I've gotten a lot better on over the years, because I think I've 300 and something videos out now. I was not always as quick. Yeah, I know, it's crazy when you look at the numbers. You're like, what? How did that happen? But I think the videos that I do in the shed, because I've done most jobs on bikes before. Before I go do it, I kind of know what I need to do. You need to take the tank off, you need to take the airbox off, you need to take the carbs out, you need to do, whatever. So I kind of have like an edited plan in my head already. So I'll actually turn the camera off when I need to turn it off, move it, do the next bit. I know I'm like, I'll just leave the camera there because I'm going to speed it up for that bit later, whatever. Yeah. Those ones are quick to edit. But when you go out and you're just, because how I like the video, I did lots of different videos, but the ones I like doing the most is I'll just literally, something will pique my interest during the day, and that how I start those videos is I get on the bike and I go, I'm going to talk about X, and I have no plan on how I'm going to talk about it. I often don't know what roads I'm going to go. I know I'm just going to take off in a direction and talk about it. They take a while to edit, obviously, because I mean, I could have repeated myself 3 times and I realized
totally.
out. But yeah, it depends on the video, definitely.
Yeah, same. I've done. I do this Kalimoto tutorial series now in English, and again, they're really easy and quick to edit. Exactly as you, because not only is the vid short, the vid's generally like definitely under 10 minutes long most of the time. So that's much easier to edit than a 20-minute or 25-minute blooming vid, isn't it? It just doesn't take as long. But as you said, you got in your head. There's a start, middle, and end. Whereas trip stuff is all reactive. You're just filming what's going on. So you then have to watch all that footage again and cut out everything that you think makes a story, cut 8 hours of footage down to 2, then go through that again and cut that down to an hour, and then again and cut it down to half an hour. And I like people like, well, all of them, Rich, Lamb Chops, TMF, they're insanely quick at editing. I don't know how they do it. I'm painfully slow, it seems. Like I'm
I
like,
suppose everyone has their styles as well, though. So.
yeah. I don't know how they do it, because I used to think, well, maybe they're just not. Maybe they're not putting. This sounds horrible. I know this sounds horrible. I don't. Well, I mean, it does sound horrible. Maybe they're not putting the same amount of effort in. But then I've filmed with all of them now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really film. TMF doesn't really do the joint thing, but
Yeah,
I filmed with Rich and Lamb Chops. They've got exactly the same content as me, and they create fantastic vids, and they're doing it like Chops will do it in a day, 2 days, and he's got a thing for you to look at. I'm just like, how the hell have you done that so quickly?
Yeah, that's impressive.
And had a full-time job, you know?
Yeah. No, fair play. I don't know, like, because I always look at my videos and I don't know, this might be something everyone does. I look at them and I don't think you're ever happy with it.
No.
Ever.
No.
But even like the video I did now with Dean on the forks, I spent a couple of days doing that one, definitely, because I wanted to, I think part of that was I wanted to do, him justice, because it was like, I asked him to make that. I was like, no, you're doing really good work. Like, you've saved my ass. So I was really wanted to do that justice. Same with the reviews. Like, I get to ride those bikes for me. I want to ride those bikes for me. And I'm like, I don't know how the other people feel. So like they give me Freeman's give me nothing. You know what I mean? And so the only thing I'm like, okay, I want to do something for them. Or sorry, as in, I mean, I give them nothing. You
give Freeman's nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. That came out the complete opposite that I meant it. They give me like, free bike to ride and all that. And
yeah.
Whatever. And they clean them and everything. I was like, the first time I was like, I'll wash the bike when I'm finished because there's road dust on it now. And you gave it to me pristine. They're like, nah, don't worry about it. So I want to do that justice as well. So yeah, I don't know how they do those that quickly. That's impressive.
But then,
depressing.
Yeah, totally. Tell me about it. But going back on what you were saying there, never underestimate what you're actually providing for like Freeman's, because if you look at it in the old days, traditionally advertising was on print, wasn't it? And so for them to print on a magazine that would get, I don't mean this derogatory, but your level with 5,000 subscribers, okay, the reach you've got at 5,000, for them to get in a magazine that has that reach, they would still have to pay a significant amount of money in order to get that reach. Now, not only are they getting that reach, but they're getting targeted advertising for people who are specifically following you for your style of vid and for the content that you're providing. And you have a lot of weight in as long as you don't bullshit, because people sniff out bullshit really quick.
People know when you're bullshitting, yeah.
Exactly. But if people invest in you, and which is what they're doing when they're watching your channel, and this is something I think a lot of us in social media maybe need to realize, is that you have a lot of weight there. You definitely have a lot of weight there. You effectively were the new billboards, the new magazines. But I do think you have a personal obligation as to how you use that influence. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go and promote any old bullshit, then then that influence, that weight that you have will go very, very quickly, because people will suddenly, totally, 100%. Whereas if you maybe pick and choose what you get involved with, or you just downright be upfront and be honest, which I know you do, and I do, and a lot of other people do. If you're upfront and honest about what you think about things, again, there's no such thing as bad publicity, I don't think. I really don't think there is, because you're still getting it out there to your reach, aren't you? And as long as you quantify why you don't like X and you like Y, and you're not so sure as Z, but maybe it's this, then people will make their own mind up. Do you know what I mean? It's all good, isn't it?
I've never thought of myself as a magazine. Interesting.
But
actually, I've never thought about it like that. Yeah.
We are the new sort of magazines, effectively, aren't we? Because all we're doing is we're getting a bike or a product, we're getting it out there in front of eyeballs, which is all posters, magazines, billboards did do. Yeah.
You see, I mean, it's funny. It's going to sound really naive. why I make videos is I love bikes. So, but that makes sense because I know that you've had me thinking about it. I mean, every review, everything I look up ever is YouTube. So it's what put me onto YouTube. I was like, oh, I want to do stuff like that. But yeah, I suppose it's a good way of looking at it. I probably sound like an idiot now on the podcast.
No, I for me personally, I would rather hear that. From someone like you, I'd rather hear that from you, where you're not aware of the influence you have, than someone that goes, I've got X amount of 100,000 subscribers and this reach, and whatever I say, people are just going to swallow up. So I could just promote any old bollocks. I'd much rather have someone that's true and honest about what they're saying and be able to see that. But that's just me. Maybe other people are different. Again, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, if there's someone out there, and I hope I never hear anyone say that openly, because it would definitely change my opinion of them. If there's people out there who think like that, I mean, whatever they say is essentially worth nothing. Because, I mean, it's a non-opinion, isn't it? It's just...
It's an integrity matter.
Yeah.
It's an integrity matter, isn't it, at the end of the day? This is something that was drilled into me and us in the old Bill. When I joined 2002, Swing the Old Lamp, there was a saying in the Met, integrity is non-negotiable. And I think, never mind in the old Bill, in life, that's true. Because as we've said before, if someone thinks you're full of shit, then your word means nothing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your word is all you've got, isn't it?
100%.
What you stand for is all you have as a baseline in life. It literally, you go from there in everything. So I think I've had too much to drink. I'm getting very philosophical. Talking a drink. Look at this.
Velvet cake. Oh, pecan salt. Oh, wow. How good is that?
Brewdog Velvet Cake Pecan Salted Caramel Stout. It's gorgeous.
I'm going to have to get me a can of that.
Mate, it's like a chocolate cake in a can. It's awesome.
Have Brewdog sponsored you yet?
No. No.
Come on, Brewdog. Come on. Give the man a sponsorship.
I've tried to get them on the podcast purely because they're from like a town just down the road from where I grew up. They're like local boys done good. And I would love to get them on and have a chat, but they've never replied. I don't blame them. I'm nobody compared to them. But I just get people send crates of Brewdog to the house. I've had folk turn up outside the house with it. People turned up at the NEC when I was on the stalls with cans of Brewdog. Thanks, Keith. Cheers for that, pal.
That's brilliant.
It was awesome. It's brilliant. Anyway, right. We're an hour and a half in. We've not even finished Patreon questions.
Sorry.
2 more to go. No, it's me, mate. It's me. Just me, just getting all deep and meaningful. Will Carroll. Christmas greetings from Dublin. My question for both. Would you rather ride a bad bike on a good road, or a good bike on a bad road? Merry Christmas to both of you. Michael, are you up for a pint in Kilkenny in 22?
Yes.
Right, there you are. Will, drop him a line.
Bad bike on
good bike,
road.
bad road. Bad bike, good road.
I suppose you'd have to quantify what a bad bike is, wouldn't you? Like, are we talking like a Bandit 600 with 200,000 miles that literally the swing arm is wobbling around because its bearings are completely gone and it's just terrifying? Or are we saying, like, because some people think bad bikes are like, smaller displacement, because we had that discussion. So I'm going to assume that Will is a man of taste and refinement, and he means a crappy old Bandit that's falling apart. And I'd probably still take that in a good road, to be honest.
100%. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. If it's a good road, I don't care what I'm riding, you're going to enjoy it, aren't you? It's just still. Yeah. Whereas if you go onto a really bad road, say it's just arrow straight for 300 miles.
Nah, I couldn't do that. Nah, that's what cars and cruise control is for.
Absolutely.
That said, as well, I mean, if you have an unreliable bike, because I absolutely love my Magna. I love it to pieces. But that bike needs to be stripped out of the frame and rebuilt, to be quite honest, right? Which I'm going to do at some stage. Every time I ride that, usually something breaks. But that's part of the fun, you know what I mean? If you're out and it's like, oh, that's fallen off. Oh, I need to try fix this here or whatever. I don't know, have people ever gone on trips with bikes like those? But the most interesting trips you see on YouTube are people on bikes that are just about hanging on, or
Absolutely.
It's part of it. So yeah, bad bike on a good road, definitely.
Definitely. It's part of the adventure, isn't it? When things go wrong, the adventure starts. Definitely.
Unless like you're buying a bike that is legitimately going to kill you. Don't do that. I won't advise that.
But you could have a giggle before it all ends. You never know. Anyway,
Maybe.
Pete English. Last one, Pete English. Hi, guys. Hope you're both fit and well. Well, I'm well, Pete. I'm well.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. I'm well.
After recently spending an awesome week touring the south and west of Ireland, my question, what time of year would you suggest to go back, and what are the most must-see hidden spots to go visit and where to stay? Keep up the great work and live your life. So best time of year, what do you see and where do you stay?
Hello, Pete, number one. He was with Richie, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
So I saw him in the videos. I was actually gutted I didn't. Because Richie actually messaged me back to one of my Instagram messages, but I was, work. I would have loved to meet up with him. But best time of year, it depends. If you get that Indian summer, as they call it, that's a great time of year because it's generally quieter tourist-wise. It's just like September, isn't it? September-ish. Yeah. That's a great time of year because it's quieter. It's not too hot. It's actually lovely bike riding conditions. Clear skies, not too hot, good grip on the roads. Otherwise, probably May is generally quite good as well. May, June is usually quite good. Yeah, right. Yeah, May, because we've this thing is when Leaving Cert students are in, which is you're 18 years old finishing school. I don't know, just for everyone who might be from anywhere. Generally, there's a rule that when they're doing their final study and final exams, that is when we have the best weather. That's universally recognised fact. We all have to go through that, sitting in the window staring out. Well, not that I studied much, but anyway, that's probably evident. But May or September, I'm going to say. But to be honest, Ireland is like Scotland. The weather's so changeable. Who knows?
Awesome.
Anytime between May and September is when you have nice temperatures. I would say those times.
Gotcha.
Right. What was the next one? Hidden spots.
Oh yeah, what to see and where to stay.
What to see? I don't think they did it. One of the coolest little roads that I have ever done, and I love it, is pre-sleep. I'm not going to say like Healy Pass and stuff because a lot of people know about Healy Pass and obviously the Killarney National Park and all that. They're all fantastic roads. But pre-sleep is actually not far from Healy Pass. It's not far from Kenmare and all those beautiful spots. And it's often overlooked because it's kind of out of the way, but there's an unbelievable view from the very top of pre-sleep. Little plug here, I've done a video on it. Beautiful road. Guggen Barra, which is a national forest that actually burnt down. It's kind of funny, but also not funny. It's a national forest park that isn't really a forest at the moment. But anyway, that Guggen Barra is also another hit. Yeah. And then where to stay, to be honest, outside of a city. Anywhere outside of a city, you can't go wrong in Ireland.
All right. Well, May, pre-sleep, I'll be seeing you there. I've heard a few people talk about pre-sleep, actually. Yeah, it's definitely on the old must-do list, for sure.
Yeah, the view from the top is beautiful.
Cheers for that, Pete. Mate, that is all the Patreon ones. We are 1 hour, 40 minutes. Have you got time? We crack on and do Instagram?
Yeah. No, we can keep going, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. There weren't any on Facebook when I last looked. I'll just have a quick refresh, but there was nothing showing up on Facebook. I think I posted...
Facebookians don't want to know about me.
I think it's because I don't always get to the Facebook questions on the podcast. And I
okay.
know some people have messaged and said, well, there's no point in me leaving any questions because you never do the Facebook ones. So maybe people have given up on that. I don't know. But I do my best, folks. But, once we start getting 2.5 hours in, I'm like, oh, you kind of need to be. Right. First off, we are now at TeapotOne Insta over on Instagram. And again, I'll leave Michael's socials all down below. So make sure you give him a follow. Hippodrone 247. Michael, if you had to give up the Magna or the Jigsaw, how many people would you take down if they try to enforce it? Is that a possible decision, Magna or Jigsaw?
No. No, you'd have to drag them from my cold, very dead hands. Like, as in, you get that like death grip on things. You'd have to break my fingers to get them off. No, just no. Both of those bikes. The Magna, look, I remember seeing one when I was a child, and from then that Gen 2 Super Magna, I fell in love with them, and I got the chance to buy one, and I bought it, and it will be mine forever. And then the S-Rad was obviously my uncle's, and I looked at that S-Rad sitting in a garage for like, I think it was like 12, 13, 14 years.
Jeez.
And then finally he said, you know what, go on, you can bring it back to life. And just because it's been even in the family so long. I know it sounds ridiculous, but no, I could never get rid of either of those.
Are you a bit handy in a ruck?
Sorry, say again.
Ruck, R-U-C-K. Are you handy in a fight?
Oh, in a fight. I can handle myself. I'll say that.
It seems like everyone is doing jiu-jitsu these days.
Yeah, one of my friends just started jiu-jitsu, actually. I am more of a boxing, kickboxing type person. So,
oh yeah,
that's I would avoid violence as much as possible, though, because you know yourself, when you're a bigger fella, you could seriously hurt someone, and that's not what you don't want to do. That.
Yeah. I'm more of a keys in the hand windmill type of bloke. That's me.
Fair enough. Gets the job done.
Next one, motor_MA77. Can you ask Michael, why does it always rain in Mexico? Also, here we go. This is a chap you're talking about. Also, has he lost weight ready for track days? You should know what I mean because I messaged them about it. What's this all about? Lost weight for track day. What's that all about?
So the video where I talked about crashing the Jigsaw, I even just still thinking about this is just hilarious. Like how, anyway. So there was a guy commented on it, and he basically said, not to be rude. Good thing he started the comment with that, because how could you not think this is rude? He said, generally sports bikes are for fitter people. Because that's on, when you buy them, that's on the booklet. You got to be a fit small person. And then he went on anyway to say that's the reason I crashed it, because I was a fat piece of shit, and he estimated 40 to 50 kg overweight. I was like, wow, dude, if I was 40 kg lighter, I'd literally be dead. Yeah. And that's I remember I posted that comment up on Instagram, and that's when Motor messaged me, and we just had a laugh about it, because it was just ridiculous. And I went back to that comment. I didn't, I gave him a piece of my mind nicely. And he actually, the funniest part was, I was like, you're off your head. I didn't crash it because now, bearing in mind, actually the man sort of had a point, because the 25-year-old collapsed rear shock did let me down because it wasn't sprung for my weight or whatever else. There's a difference between something not being set up for your weight and you just being too fat for sports bikes. That's not a thing. Then anyway, so I replied and said, look, you're ridiculous, basically, and yes, you are incredibly rude, and I'm definitely not 40 to 50 kg overweight, because I'd be dead. But yeah, and I did say, I could do it losing like 10 to 15 kg. I won't deny that one. None of us are liars here. But And then the best part was he came back and tried to defend his claims. Like, no, you are 40 kg overweight. I was like, dude, drop it. You know what I mean? But it was one of those comments that you get, and you're like, is this person okay?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Where is this coming from?
If I give us some sort of retort, am I the one that's going to be in the wrong here? Not the wrong, but you know what I mean? You're like, is this person actually stable? Is it fair?
Honestly, when I left it, I was concerned that he wasn't. So I stopped replying, because I was like, nah, no way is this person 100% there. Like, there's something, you know, that clock is cracked. There's something wrong.
I've never heard that one before. That clock is cracked.
My grandfather used to say it.
That is genius. I've never heard that before. That's brilliant. Why does it always rain in Mexico? What's that all about?
Well, sometimes I teleport to Mexico in some videos. It just happens to be raining in them. It may look very like Ireland, but I assure you it's Mexico.
Watch the vid, folks, and find out. Kazawaki. Ask him if he's still embarrassed Ask him if he's still embarrassed about losing his keys while spying over a fence at some geese, and whether or not he still has trust issues because of the incident. All right, come on, you got to tell me more about this.
I was going to be nice and say I like Kaz, but no. So myself and Kaz is actually used to make videos anyway. He's kind of on pause at the moment. I'm actually currently doing some work on his bike for him. He's a buddy of mine. And anyway, we met up to do the Gordon Bennett rally route, which we got lost and didn't really do, but you know, we still had fun. And we stopped at one little car park, and there was a full back garden full of geese. There was just loads of geese. So I stuck my head over the ditch and was looking at them while chatting to Kaz on my Cardo. Anyway, I walked back to the bike to find no key in my bike. I was like, where have I put my keys? You know, I couldn't possibly have lost my keys. Where would I have put them? And eventually Kaz revealed that he had in fact taken them, all the while laughing at me on his own GoPro and having a great old time. Do I have trust issues? No, not with general people, but with you, Kaz, yes.
With them, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's always fun when your mates do stuff like that too, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because I currently am in possession of his bike, so you know, just saying. I'll be messaging him tomorrow. Oh, your bike fell over in the shed. I don't know how.
Yeah. Enjoy that rear shock, Kaz. That's all we're going to say. Enjoy that rear shock. Who we've got here? Snow.bike.mike. Excellent. All these top tier guests lately is made for a mega podcast. Look forward to this one. Thank you very much, Mike. Cheers. Enjoy Canada, dude. He's posting up. Snowbike Mike is posting up some cracking content at the moment. He's snowboarding around a very snowy Whistler in Canada. So good on you.
Oh, I must have a look.
Next one. Carpin Matt. A snail is hunting you down, and if it touches you, you'll die. Wow. It always knows where you are and is always making its way to you. What's your plan? Bloody hell, folks. Wow. Okay. So you've got a Terminator snail. If he touches you, you'll die. It always knows where you are, and it's always making its way to you. What's your plan to evade it? God.
I didn't get a notification for this one. I have no idea.
Wow.
What? Is it snails or slugs melt when salt touches them?
Slugs, I think. I don't know. You've got Google.
I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it here.
I'd suggest if it's a snail, then as long as you go like even remotely quicker than the snail, you'll be all right. Just keep moving. And if you're going to have a snooze, get so far ahead of it that you can have a little snooze.
No, we're sorted. Right. I'll create a bodysuit for us that just constantly excretes salt, because salt kills snails and slugs by mixing with the slime on their skin to create a highly saline solution. This rapidly sucks the water out of their bodies by osmosis, causing them to bubble, shrivel, and die of dehydration. Terminator slug, come at me.
This is why I don't think any Scotsman or Scots person has ever been killed by a snail, because we have salt on everything. We have salt on our porridge. We have salt on our chips. We have salt on our cereal.
Whoa. You have salt on your porridge? God.
Yeah. Do you not know?
I just had a life revelation here. No. Who puts salt in porridge? You put honey on porridge, you lunatic.
I don't anymore. But traditionally, like a Scottish, you know what a bannock is? Have you heard of a bannock? Like
No.
traditionally, Scots, certainly where I'm from in the Northeast, they sort of a staple of the diet, like going back hundreds of years, was like an oat cake, but it's basically just oats and water mixed with some salt, and it's cooked on a girdle over the fire. So it's like a very early oat cake, but it had salt in it, and they used to put salt in the porridge as well, just oats with salt, because they didn't have sugar back in those days, and water, and that was porridge traditionally. It's horrible. It's horrific.
I was just going to say, but people still do this on purpose.
I would imagine that's pretty much gone. I know from like my days in school, primary school, and very young days at the academy, when you do stuff on history and learn about your traditions, your local traditions.
Yeah.
We used to have like older people coming in and giving you talks and telling you what it was like to work on the farm in those days. And that sort of generation did, but certainly, like, I was born 76. So my parents' generation and onwards, nobody puts salt in.
No,
We have sugar now, so you put sugar in.
I was going to call it social services for the entirety of Scotland there or something. Like, come on, there's nicer things available now than salt to put in your porridge. You poor suffering humans.
Sweeping generation, that's all. Generalization.
That's okay. That's what we're here for. But yeah, basically, I would just cover everything around me in salt all the time, and that snail would just die.
Okay, I think I'd just keep moving. Oh, well, that's a good point. Yeah. Just put a line of salt over, it kills the snail, and you can carry on with life.
Yeah. Terminator snail is dead. Interesting question, though.
It is, Matt. I mean, that's a heck of a question.
That's a very interesting question.
I wonder how your brain works. Yeah.
It concerns me how his brain works.
We are done with the questions posed by everybody. That's almost 2 hours bang on. Right. How about we call it at 2 hours? But before we do, I've got a question for you. What's the plan?
Okay.
What's the plan? What's the future?
Ooh.
In an ideal world, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Not necessarily YouTube related.
In an ideal world, I'm gonna say not in Ireland anymore. That is one thing. Ooh. Yeah, I'd like to move somewhere else, try somewhere else, and not even necessarily to do with YouTube, but doing more with bikes. Like, I'd love to have. One thing I love doing anyway is love working with CNCs. I just like them. They're nice. I'd love to make custom parts for bikes at some point. I'd love to. Yeah. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'll be out in a minute.
Sorry, you've been summoned.
If it goes over. Sorry about that. You have to do a cut now.
Don't worry about
it. What was I saying? Yeah, so out of Ireland, and I to be honest, I just like to work more with bikes. Whether it be YouTube. Look, I'm not overly hopeful, say, of my chances of growing enough to ever make YouTube like a full-time thing. It would be amazing to get there. If that was, at the start, I never thought about it. And then when I got, slightly bigger on channels, people started asking the question, and then you think about it. And yeah, I think I'd love to at some point, if that was to ever happen, it would be a new dream, say, come true. Not one that I always had, but now definitely that would be pretty cool. But to be honest, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I would like to move to a country that's a bit sunnier for a while. I'm not saying I'm going to stay there forever. You know, you always kind of come home, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And work more with bikes, whatever that might be. Whether, you know, if I ever get to even, I don't know, maybe help out with filming them, you know, maybe something in design, maybe custom parts. I don't know, something more with them, I suppose.
Fair enough. Good on you. I know exactly what I'll not keep you long because I know you've got somewhere to go now. Apologies if I kept you too long.
You're grand. You're grand.
I know exactly what you're saying about YouTube. It was never in a plan of mine up until literally a month or two before I actually made the leap to go. I never planned to go full time. I'm still waiting for somebody to pinch me and for me to wake up, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't say it's never going to happen. You know, that's my only, if you want it, that's my only advice. If you've got an idea what you want, focus on it and go for it and work at it. And you know, and if you keep going for it, and there's no reason why it won't happen. Just keep going and keep going, for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, the thing is, I know that sounds negative in a way, but my way of doing things, this is going to sound terrible, right? What I do for myself is I set the bar low in my own brain because I don't like to be disappointed in myself. But then I don't put in any less effort for it. I love making videos. That's one thing. I love making videos. I love talking to people on YouTube. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm always trying to improve my own quality anyway. Because like I said, you're never really happy with it. So if that eventually leads to something bigger and better, great. I won't say no.
Good man. I'm the opposite. I always set the bar ridiculously high, and I'll never, ever, ever attain that level. So I'm always trying to reach for it. You know, I'm always trying to keep going for it and try and get better and better. And who knows? We'll see what happens, mate. Absolute pleasure chatting with you, Michael. Before we go, feel free, plug, promote, shout out whoever you want, whatever you want. Over to you.
TeapotOne. I know you're here because it's his channel, but definitely TeapotOne. I've been a fan a long time, so thank you very much for inviting me on. Number one, it was a surprise when I got the message, so that was pretty cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I suppose. Look, you can if you want to, you can check out my videos on YouTube. It's The Gorilla Biker. Instagram is The Gorilla Biker. Facebook's The Gorilla Biker. The main thing for me is very much YouTube, so that's where my 98% of my focus goes. So that would be what I would recommend to people to go look at. But I do post on Instagram, you know, the extra bits, smaller bits, so if you want to see those. Yeah. Other than that, I suppose, look, I will shout out, because we mentioned them a few times, Freeman Motorcycles in Clonmel. They've been very good to me, giving me bikes. And also a buddy of mine, Dean, who does suspension and stuff. If you're in Ireland or want to send him something, he's actually provably very good, because he fixed my Gixxer shock. So that was nice of him. And
he's a funny lad.
Yeah,
he knows his stuff.
To be honest, Dean, he does. That is one thing actually I should probably warn people. If you do, you know, give him anything to work on, it comes with a side of gentle abuse. So be prepared for that.
Awesome. Folks, please make sure you check out the Gorilla Biker on YouTube. Check it out. If you do enjoy it, give them a little bit of support there. Give them a wee follow, a like, a share, comment on the vids. It's a massive, massive help. Even just hitting that thumbs up button helps massively with YouTube. So please do if it fits. Michael, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really do appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. Very much appreciated.
Absolute my pleasure, man. Absolute my pleasure. And like I said, I'll be coming over to Ireland, so I would love to meet up with you, and maybe we can do some content together.
Absolutely. I have several bikes you have to try out.
Beautiful. Right, you're on. Let's make sure it happens.
Absolutely. I'll hold you to it now. I have to get you up on the Gixxer and the Magna,
right,
and the CBF and the XC250 if it's fixed.
Let's do it. And I'll get you on my tractor. You can get on the old GS1250. Yeah. You'll be another convert. Watch this space.
We'll see.
All right, dude. Have a great night. Apologies for keeping you so long.
No, you're fine.
Really appreciate your company, folks. Hope you've enjoyed
talking to you.
Sorry, go on.
Great.
There's a wee bit of a delay. Apologies about this.
No, you're fine.
Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Keep doing your thing. Sorry, let's just go one back slightly. As I said before, if you've got anyone you'd like to see on the podcast, make sure you post up in your socials or my socials. Tag me, tag them, and we'll try and make it happen. All right, folks, keep doing your thing. Look after those that you love. Get on out there whenever you can and live your life. Woo-ha! Well, I mucked the end up on there, didn't I, pal?